Hello. Yes, I am finally making another video. It's been, I think, the longest I've ever had a break in between videos since I started posting these videos 2.5 some years ago. So it wasn't intentional, such a long break. And I realized that, some people might be concerned or think, hey, whatever happened to Candace? So it's like working out. I feel like, something happens and your workout routine gets messed up because you go on vacation or you hurt yourself or somebody visits or something happens, and then you get out of the routine, and then the longer you stay away from it, the harder it is to get back to it. And that's really how this has been. So I apologize to anybody who's missed me, and if you haven't, then no problem. Yeah, I really just wanted to make this video there, and just, if you care, then you'll sit through it and just hear what I have to share, which is sort of what's been happening in these last few months, and probably has really contributed to why I haven't made a video. So I guess we'll start with the last video that I made, which was interesting. I was really on fire about a teaching, well, lots of teaching, but I was just really on fire about our identity in Christ and our identity in Christ, really, and what that means for our walk, and just really how amazing that is. And I was really uplifted, and that hasn't changed. That is still true. But then there's that other side of it where it's like, but then there's life, and things sometimes can feel like they beat you down, and it's not as easy to embrace that message, although it's still true. And so, coincidence or maybe not, that it's like I share that message, and then a lot of old stuff came sort of beating down at my door. And then that becomes a conversation with God, like, okay, how do I deal with this? What do you want me to do here? I don't know if I'm talking cryptically. So anyway, firstly, my family and I, we took a trip to California. We took our kids to Legoland because, truthfully, my husband always wanted to go, and I said, not until we have kids. And now we have kids, and they love Legos, especially our son. And so we did Legoland, and we were in California, and it was a whirlwind trip because we always have a limited time and lots of family and friends and people to see. And we also sort of impromptu also went to Disneyland, which was kind of a mistake. But anyway, so we did all that, and then, you get back from the trip, and just trying to get back into some routine and school and whatever else, job, whatever else is going on, which, yes, I have a part-time job. I'm still homeschooling my kids. I'm in Supernatural School of Ministry, which I have 2 weeks left till I graduate my first year. And I was on the fence. I mean, not really. In my heart, I absolutely want to do the second year. I have so enjoyed this year of diving in and reading all the books and being really pushed on a weekly basis to be a true disciple of Christ, and to not get too comfortable and kick my feet up and just say, all right, well, I'm a Christian now, and I don't need to know anymore. So I'm a person that thrives on that. I really love to learn and be pushed. And so there was no doubt in my mind that I want to do second year, but then, or I should say maybe in my heart, but in my mind, then I rationalized, well, I want to be sure that I have the time to commit to it. It costs some money, gas, with the gas prices so high, just all these sort of more rational, logistical things. And then there has been the issue of feeling, more than I think I realized, this dynamic between my home church, which we've been members of for the last 2.5 years, and then this other church where I'm going to school, because they're really on opposite ends of the spectrum in certain ways. And I really do love both of the churches, and love the people at both places. And it's been hard to be one foot in one place and one foot in the other, in a sense. And it's not that anybody has condemned me for it or said, oh, you can't do that. It's just, I like to be an all or nothing person, and I don't like feeling split. And yet I feel that God is really, at this time, calling me to do that. I don't feel released from my home church, and yet I feel clearly called to continue at the other church for school. And it's kind of like, I mean, it's like, and not that I ever did, but imagine if you were dating two people and they're very different people and you really care about both of them, but you start really falling in love with one in a way that you're not with the other. And it's clear where your heart really is, but there's this connection. So that's how it feels. And I didn't really realize it, or wasn't able to acknowledge that until like a week ago. And but it was a good acknowledgement. And it's just like, okay, Lord, but until you release me, I'm going to walk this walk and do the best I can. And obviously, he's going to have to help me. If he's calling me to this, then he's going to have to carry me through it. So that was a big realization, and it's been heavy. I mean, just, a lot of book reading and a lot of, the weekly upkeep. And then there's always seminars, and there's the outreach. And then, so I do outreach. If you've watched my recent videos, I do outreach once a month as part of the school. And then my home church asked me to head outreach at our church, which I was like, my first answer was like, oh, why not this person or this person? Like, they're way more qualified. But it was one of those things, again, where I had to sit with it and pray about it. And I felt that God was calling me to rise to a challenge. And this may be a little bit of a cliche statement, but I think it's really true that God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So I felt like, okay, I don't really know what this is going to entail. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't even know what this means, but I'll accept, and I'll see what happens. So I just suddenly have all these things on my plate as if I wasn't busy already. So I think I've been a little overwhelmed, and this obviously has taken the back seat because I've never given the attention to this YouTube channel and doing these videos as much as I would have hoped that as much as I would like to. It just doesn't happen that way. They just kind of come up, and there's not a lot of production, and there's not a lot of pre-thought even to what I talk about. It's sort of this rambling, personable thing, and that keeps the channel, I think, really small. But that's okay with me, because I know there's a handful of people out there that appreciate that, and that's really why I'm doing it, for my own self-expression and connection with whoever connects with that. So all of those things. But I started feeling like, am I going to continue this YouTube channel? If so, I really want to be more deliberate with it and know that I can make weekly posts and, have some structure to it. Or maybe I just need to just stop it, because I don't like doing it and then having a 2 or 3 month break. Oh, and the other thing was, part of the outreach suggestions for my position was to start a podcast for our church, which is proving to be a challenging thing. And I'm not sure that that's what God is really calling me to do for our church. But I did have that in mind, and I started thinking, well, if I'm doing a podcast, I don't know if I can also do YouTube channel. Maybe I could incorporate the two. But I haven't gotten too far on the podcast. I did interview one guy, somebody's testimony, who I saw online, who happened to live in Orange County. And I reached out to him, and he got right back to me. And my husband and my kids and I were able to go meet him when we visited Orange County. Like I mentioned, to go to Legoland and Disneyland, and we went to his church and just made this connection. So that was really awesome. So I have this interview sitting. I don't think I'm going to use it for my church podcast, because I don't think they're interested in it. And that's part of the conflict there, is that if I was doing my own podcast, it would be one way. And if I'm supposed to represent our church, I don't know what they want. So I guess I'm saying that to say I might just end up posting that interview on this channel, just because the guy has got a really incredible testimony. I don't know if it's the greatest interview. I have no experience interviewing people, and there was some technical difficulties because it was done over Zoom. So I might need to revisit that, but I might share that. So all of this just to try to explain where my head is at and where I've been. And then, also, of course, there's life stuff, just dealing with the health stuff. For a couple of years, I've had this recurring pain on my right side, and a couple of times it's gotten really bad. And anyway, after lots of trips to the doctor and whatever, I was told that I had a malfunctioning gallbladder, which is not the same as having stones or anything, which I don't have apparently. But it's like, what do you do for malfunctioning gallbladder? Anyway, so then it, entailed seeing a surgeon and contemplating getting my gallbladder out, which I didn't want to do, and a process of trying to change my diet and use different supplements. And I think I have some improvement, but then I get the pain again, so it's like dealing with that. And of course, tons of prayer and time with the Lord about it. And then this also just realization, it's like life is going to throw stuff at you. And whether our prayers are answered, at least in the way that we would hope or expect, it doesn't mean that God isn't with us or walking with us, but it's, man, like trying, and again, it's a little schizophrenic because I'm doing the Supernatural School of Ministry where they, it's like, pray for everything. We don't believe that God, that his will is for sickness. And yet you still will see people with sickness or some sort of infirmity or handicap that doesn't get healed. And so how, it's just the age old, how do you deal with that? And it sort of reminds me of when I was studying Scientology, and there was this course called Overcoming Ups and Downs. And I don't really even remember. I mean, of course, I didn't learn anything my time in Scientology, except for that they're really disconnected and crazy there. But the idea of the course was like, life is like, a roller coaster. And how do you just like sail through? And, anybody who's living life, I think, can agree, like, no, you don't just sail through. Life is going to be full of ups and full of downs, and nobody is immune to those. But what we have in Christ is a peace in our spirit. It's not in the natural. Like, we're still going to face things in the natural that to the outer world aren't going to look like we're blessed or we're saved or that we have any, that Christ is even working in our lives sometimes. And yet it's internal, it's the spiritual, it's the peace in and the healing that awaits us and everything in Christ in our spirit. It's that sails through in the midst of life going up and down, if that makes sense. And yet it's not easy. I'm not saying that I'm doing it well. So there's that. And then I don't know, I just have some phantom like joint stuff coming up. Like, I don't know if it's arthritis. I don't really want to like claim a disease, but the timing of it is interesting because I'm really stressed with stuff going on with aging parents. And, I never really talked about even in my long testimony, I never talked about my childhood and really the stuff that happened with my parents, but it's not good. And, it's like old stuff is coming back around that I have to confront. And, with aging parents, like my mother in particular, she may be experiencing early onset dementia, and I'm trying to help her from thousands of miles away. And anyway, it's just not to share too much personally. And I know everybody has their stuff, but that's what's going on. And it's like, how do you, and then it's just trust in Christ. Just keep trying to give it to God. And that's the key. And that's where I get tripped up, because when I'm too busy, it's easy for me, unfortunately, sometimes to put God on the back burner. I read my Bible every day, but I don't always go in my prayer closet and just have this, like, I don't always find silence just to be with the Lord and to hear him because I'm busy, and I'm a person that likes to be busy sometimes, or I can't quiet my mind until I check off my to-do list. And sometimes that really annoys me about myself. And sometimes it's good because, I get things done. But anyway, so it's nothing terribly dramatic or terribly exciting. That's just the reality. And things that can't be a priority in my life get pushed to the back burner. And unfortunately, this channel is not a priority, even though I love it. And I love the interaction with all the people that I've met just through doing this channel. And even when I haven't been posting, I still get comments now and then from my testimony video, and I feel like it's a little nudge from God, like, you know, I forget, like I'm just talking here and I don't know how this might be of value or serve other people, just sharing my experience, and I don't want to negate that. And if I can help people just by speaking my truth of how I'm experiencing my walk, and speaking my heart for Jesus, then I want to do that because I love it. I love it. It comes naturally to me. I mean, I want to naturally do it. So anyway, that's that. So I'm not saying I'm not going to do the channel anymore. I think I probably really need the next couple months to decide, let some things come off my plate and recalibrate, my head and my heart, and try to streamline things. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I do have a fun story to share. I mentioned we went to Disneyland before the woke video came out, and everybody was boycotting Disneyland. Of course, we already knew Disneyland is not a great company, but tradition and, conditioning of your childhood is a hard thing to kick. I've been going to Disneyland since I was a little kid, and my youngest sister lives 7 minutes away from there. So anyway, it was the Monday before we were going to leave. And so we just decided, let's just go. We'll just take the kids and we'll go. And went with my sister. She loves Disneyland, and it was her birthday. So we went, and it was just, I've been to Disneyland more times than I can count. And this was honestly the worst day. At least started out as the worst day. It poured rain. And in the old days, if it was going to pour rain at Disneyland, like half the people at the park would leave because they're like, I'm not doing this. But nobody was leaving, probably because it costs so much to go to Disneyland. Now people are like, there's no way I'm leaving. I can't afford to leave. So we were there. It was raining. We got up really early, and we're like, we're going to get there when the gates open. By the time we parked, did the tram, I mean, there's so many people there. I can't believe it. Waited at the gate to get in. The park had already been open an hour. There's a new Star Wars land, so we went there first because we haven't been to it. The ride that we waited in line for almost an hour and a half, it broke down. We never got on the ride. It was just kind of one thing after another. And the only thing that was the saving grace that we could even get on any rides was that my sister splurged for like the Fast Pass thing, but now it's even a new level where they call it Genie Pass, interestingly enough. So anyway, we were able to finally, the day was a little bit redeemed. The rain finally stopped in the afternoon for a little bit, and we got on some rides. And if you've been there, Indiana Jones, we were on the Indiana Jones ride, and I had my phone, of course, and it was in my zipped up pocket of my jacket most of the day. But then I put it in my pant pocket that didn't zip because I was doing work stuff and schools, so many emails. I kept pulling it in and out that I just decided to put it in my pocket where it was easier to access. And we go on the ride, and if you've been on Indiana Jones, I mean, you're like in this, it's like a truck you're supposed to be in, and it's on hydraulics, and the thing is so bouncy. I remembered it being cooler, and then when we were on, I was like, really, this is the ride? So we're like 20 feet to the ride ending, like coming out of the dark tunnel, and I was holding several umbrellas, and they were like in my seatbelt, just because I had no other place to put them. And something went donk, donk, and like fell. And the first thing I thought is I dropped an umbrella, but I was like, no, I'm holding all the umbrellas. And the ride pulls out of the tunnel into the light, and it hits me that my phone slipped gently out of my pocket, down onto the floor of the truck, and down onto the ground in the dark tunnel. But it was like so close. It was like 20 feet. It was like, no. So as soon as we got off the ride, my sister and I are at the guy, and we're like, I dropped my phone. What can we do? And he was like, on the ride? And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's like, it can't be that in the tunnel, like right there. He's like, well, until the park closes, nobody will be able to look for it because it technically, it fell off somewhere in the ride. So needless to say, when you lose your phone, it's never a fun time, especially, I mean, in my case, none of my contacts were backed up. I didn't have a passcode on it. Don't have money for a new phone. It's just like not a happy thing. So we walk out of there, and, of course, part of me just wanted to like, just lose it, just like cry, like, oh, but I was like, it's stupid. The park is open till midnight, and we were told basically you go and you file a report, and it'll end up in lost and found, and then they'll mail it to you if they find it. So I thought, well, nothing's going to happen between now and midnight. So we might as well not ruin what little time we have left to do some stuff. And of course, we weren't going to stay till midnight because we have kids. So we went on a couple other rides, and like maybe another hour and a half or 2 hours passed. And then the timing seemed right to for my husband to take my kids and go off on some rides. And my sister and I were going to go file the report and whatnot. So we did that. It's kind of at the front of the park, and it's just at a kiosk, and you just enter your information, and it's basically like, okay, if we find it, we'll mail it to you. And I was talking to the concierge guy, and I said, well, if they found it tonight, where would it be, and how could I possibly come pick it up? That's what I wanted to find out. And he said, well, it would be in Lost and Found. And I said, well, is there a phone number? No, there's no phone number. And it's really hard to just drive up to the front gate of Disneyland. So I really didn't want to do that unless I knew they had my phone, because we were flying out the next day. So anyway, long story short, I told my sister, I said, let's go to the Lost and Found. I want to talk to somebody there, because there has to be a phone number or some easier way to do this, so I don't have to wait a week or two for them to mail me my phone. So we go to the front gate, and I can't leave because my tickets are digitally on my husband's phone, which he has, and you need your ticket to get back in. So my sister walks out, and I'm sitting at the gate, and I can see her in line at the Lost and Found, but that's about it. And so I kind of slunk down against the fence, and I'm facing at the front gates into Disneyland, and there's just so many people. Like, it's not many places you go where you just see so many people in one place. And I was just kind of spent. I was bummed. I was like, what am I doing at Disneyland? This place, what am I doing here? We don't ever need to come here again. And I was just kind of in this philosophical mindset and talking to myself and talking to God. And as I'm looking at all these people, I said to God, I said, do you really care about all these people? I can't even comprehend. And then I started thinking, I said to God, or I asked God, do you want me to care about all these people? Because how could I do it? How could I do it? And I heard God say, just in my spirit, he said, I care about you. And I really felt what he was saying is, don't worry. Just don't worry about those people or how I feel about them. I want you to know that I care about you. Not that he doesn't care about those people, but I think the point is that what he wanted me to focus on. And it was just that. That was just that. And I was like, all right, Lord. And then I was just kind of talking to him, like, this is so dumb. I lost my phone, and I just, please make this smooth, make it right. I don't know what the answer is, but it's just I said, it's just one of those dumb life things. And I feel funny even asking you for help about it, but just please make this as simple as possible, or, whatever I said. It wasn't an official prayer, but it was just talking to God, because he's always with us, and I know he sees everything. And anyway, so that was that. I'm sitting there, and it seemed like a really long time for my sister. There was like two people in front of her, and it just took like half an hour. Anyway, finally, I see my sister walking back. And so I'm walking on the other side of the gate, sort of mirroring her, and she walks in, and my sister, this sister, she's very like non-expressive, and she just walks up to me with like no expression on her face and hands me my phone. And I was like, I was speechless. Like, I was looking at my phone, and the first thing I said is, praise Jesus. Like, this is a miracle. How did you get my phone? And she's like, I don't know. I was so surprised they hand me your phone. I didn't even ask. So that was my miracle Disneyland story, that I lost my phone on a ride. There was no expectation to get it back, at least probably for a week, if I were to get it back at all. And in under 2 hours, somehow it ended up in the Lost and Found, and I got it handed back to me perfectly fine. And I bypassed all of that all that trouble and expense and everything. And it was God. And, some people I'm sure would listen to this and say, oh, that's stupid. That's stupid. That was not God. That was a coincidence. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? No, because every good thing that happens to me, I'm going to give the glory and the credit to God, because I know in my heart, because I was having that conversation with him, that was like, again, it's like these little love notes or love letters. Like, I see you, I hear you, I care, even about stupid things like you losing your phone at a ride on Disneyland. on a Disneyland ride, whatever. And, you know, my old self, prior to being saved, if that had happened, I would have said, I would have been equally amazed probably, but I would have been like, woohoo, good karma, you know, for all the good things I've done, or, oh, the universe is looking out for me, or, you know, all the things that I might have said. And so why would crediting God be any more ridiculous than those things? I mean, those things are really ridiculous. And I don't think crediting God is ridiculous at all. He's just amazing. And I feel like in really small, wonderful ways, always showing me that he's listening and that he cares, even about the smallest and most mundane things. And yet, you know, I can be having pain in my body and dealing with some kind of health challenges that are not going away, or dealing with lifelong issues, relational issues with my parents and family stuff that still haven't been resolved. And that doesn't mean that God isn't listening or isn't in those things or doesn't care about those things. And I don't know if any of you out here ever fall into this, but I know that I have a propensity to maybe think this way, and largely maybe to my past, but it's like, well, if it doesn't look a certain way, then, you know, it must not be. Like, if your health isn't 100% perfect and your life isn't reflective of Christ in every way, then, you know, God must not love you, or you must be doing something wrong, or you're not truly in the will of God. There's hidden sin. You're not doing X, Y, Z enough. And that is a totally wrong way of thinking. But we're human, we're in the flesh. And I think that it can be a trap, and that we can all have a propensity to think that way. And I know that there's some people who doctrinally will preach that, and I don't agree with that. You know, it's life. It's the ups and the downs, and that's where, I mean, trust in Christ comes. It's like, God, I don't know what is set before me tomorrow. I pray a hedge of protection around me and my family. I pray for good health and strong bones, no more lost teeth, you know, stuff like that. I pray for it, but I don't know what's going to happen. And really, more deep down, I pray, Lord, that you will give me the strength, that you will give me the endurance, that you will give me the courage and the ability to trust in you no matter what is happening in my life, no matter what is happening, because I know it's not all going to be daisies and roses and lollipops. And that's about, I'd say, the truest thing, you know, the most honest thing I think we can all as Christians acknowledge in our walk is that we don't know what the future holds. We don't know. And yeah, we might question sometimes, is this God's will? Is this Satan working in my life? Is this me because of stupid decisions I've made? It's not always clear. And that's why we have to have a relationship with the Lord, just so that you can keep taking it to him. And I firmly believe, in fact, I know that he is faithful to answer, and he will, as long as you're willing to look, as long as you're willing to ask, as long as you're willing to hear and see with your heart. He will guide you, and he will let you know that. Anyway, all right, I see this video is almost at the half-hour mark, so I'm going to end it there. But I just needed to get something on video and just get it up, so I didn't ever not do anything again and just leave the channel hanging, because I didn't want to do that. And hopefully, you know, I might post a video in 2 days, because sometimes that's how it is. But like I said, I've made no firm decision either way if I'm going to go forward or not with this channel. But whatever decision I make, I will make sure that I clear about it and I share it with everybody. So anyway, anybody who's watching, God bless you. I hope that in some strange way this message blessed you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.